And then from the feet back through the legs, through the trunk, coming back up to the crown of the head. Broad field of awareness through the body, just noticing how the body is, knowing that that's going to change in a moment as you start to move around. Notice your energy levels. Taking your attention inwardly, just noticing the broad field of your experience internally, noticing your mood and what you're bringing into the practice. Flow of thoughts, flow of sensations and pleasant and unpleasant sensations. And the flow of the breath now. So broadly aware of our inner experience, broadly aware of our body. And now a bit more specifically aware of the breath. And just re-familiarizing yourself with the sensations of the breath, starting to breathe a little bit more deeply, a bit more fully. So we're going to do a very, very simple sequence with the breath, a very simple Nadi Shodhanam practice that's just going to take less than a minute. So I just want you to find the nostril that's most fluent, most fluid and open. And block off the opposite, lightly blocking off at the tip of the nose, just the tip of the nose. Okay, you can do that in different ways with different mudras. I just press the thumbs in, fingers in lightly, just lightly, not pressing in too hard. And 3 times you're going to breathe out, and with each consecutive out breath, you breathe out just a little bit more firmly. So inhaling and exhaling at your own time. First breath quite smooth. Second breath, a little bit more exhalation power. Third exhalation, a bit more exhalation power still. Okay, straight over to the other side. Hopefully not too blocked up on the other side. Third one, a bit more power still. Now, breathing in and out through both nostrils in the same way. As you exhale, exhaling fairly firmly. Second time, a bit more firmly still. Third time, a bit more firmly on the exhalation. And just come back to the diaphragmatic breathing. Again, aware of the field of awareness of your body, field of awareness of your internal experience. So you just bring that with you, that's all. We're opening up the field of experience so that we don't come onto the mat with just the bones and the muscles, but we come on with all of this. I'm just connecting the next 5 in-breaths with the spine. So as you breathe in, think about breathing from the base of the pelvis. Imagine a line running along the inside of the spine, all the way up towards the crown of the head. So each in-breath, you grow a little bit taller. Exhaling, inhaling again through the spine. Each time growing a little bit taller, just a smooth inhalation, gentle lengthening. So hopefully now we're feeling just a little bit more connected to moment experience, body and the breath. We're going to come up to standing now. So I'm going to move back. I'll start off with a little bit of preparation, simple, familiar stuff. This might be a little bit of background noise, guys. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully not too much. Just coming to the front of your mat and standing in something like Tadasana. I'm going to stand back a bit more so that my head doesn't get chopped off in the camera. And with your hands on your hips, you're going to know this is really familiar stuff. I'm just going to warm up the hips, swinging the leg, one of the legs backwards and forwards. Okay. So we'll do all of this in one take, rather than swapping backwards and forwards. So now start to raise the leg and lower the leg, up and down, up and down. And then make circles with the leg. One way, it doesn't matter which way you start. Small circles getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Changing direction. And the other side. The other leg. The more fluid, the better. So it seems like we're not doing very much, and in a way we're not. But one thing we are doing is preparing the iliopsoas and the hip joints and the lumbar, okay? Lifting, lowering. And then we make circles, one way, then the other. And the other way. Okay. So somewhere in the middle of your mat, taking your feet just a bit wider than your pelvis. Do you remember this thing I like to do with a pole? So you've got an imaginary pole to the right side, to the right side. It's about a foot away. It's higher than you, a bit higher than you. So you're going to reach up and place your fingertips, one hand on top of the other on top of the pole. So we want to keep the body very much in one plane here. So one plane meaning not turning the trunk to the opposite direction of the pelvis. Keep the pelvis and the trunk facing to the short edge of the mat. So you're going to lean out because it's a lateral extension. Place your fingers on the pole and then walk your left leg slowly out to the left side without moving the fingers, okay? So keep the sense of the lengthening through the trunk, grounding the feet. Because you only find the length through by grounding. The more you ground, the rebound is to lengthen through the trunk. And just find a point where you could go a little bit further, but don't. So just find a submaximal position in that stretch. And just maintain that for another 5 breaths, okay? Gazing out towards the horizon. Just being aware of the positioning of your pelvis. Do you need to make any adjustments for that or not? And then walk your foot back in and take your fingers off the pole. And then we're going to put the pole to the other side. Reach up for the right hand on top of the left hand on top of the pole. Reaching up, remember one plane, so just avoid rotating the trunk as much as you can. Walking the right foot out to the right side, keep the left foot where it is. And again, find your submaximal position. So there's really an effort here in Grounding the feet and lengthening and extending out to the side. Okay. So you might want to try that by tilting the pelvis a little, and you might not. You might just want to work on, as it were, laterally bending the trunk without moving the pelvis. See what works better. Reaching up. Gazing out to the horizon. Keeping the face and the tongue really soft in the upper part of the body and the head. Neck relaxed. And bring your foot in and release. Okay. So that pole, which is completely invisible, goes behind us. It's about a foot and a bit behind you. Okay. So you're going to bring your feet in a little bit closer together. Let's say having the feet underneath the hips. This time you're going to reach up and you're going to pay particular attention to the positioning of your pelvis as you lift up. Okay. So for some people, they feel it's more appropriate to tuck the tailbone under. But that puts more work into the legs. If you let the tailbone draw back, you can explore this for yourself. It takes the work out of the legs, but it opens up the chest and the capacity of the spine much more. So you can try that for yourself and see what seems to work better. So we're going to reach up and take the hands on top of the pole. So we're going to keep the neck long, chin lifting. And then, without moving your fingers, you're going to walk your feet forwards a little bit. So this creates a sense of an arch in the spine, especially the thoracic spine. We're lifting from the base of the thoracic. Keep extending up and back. Make sure that you can breathe freely. It's all feeling compressed in there. You probably need to just work on tipping your tailbone down a little bit, retroverting the pelvis, and seeing if you can lift more from the thoracic. Just a few more breaths in this position, okay? So be aware of what's going on internally. Kidneys lifting. Okay, walking back and releasing the arms down. Coming back to something like Tadasana for a moment, just pausing, feeling the body. So, okay, you probably want to be somewhere near the front of the mat, not completely to the front of your mat. And then we're going to let the arms rotate outwards, palms of the hands start to look up to the sky. Catch your next in breath and draw up, and then do the back bend just as you did before. So lengthen through the spine, lengthen through the waist and arch back, grounding the feet, and then exhale, you're going to fold forwards, keeping the spine long. Hands down, okay? We're going to step the left foot back. And we're going to keep the toes tucked under. So left foot back, toes go under. Now, something that sounds a bit contradictory usually to typical instructions, I want you to let the knee ride forwards. So I can say that to you because you're experienced practitioners. There's no problem with this, really. There's no weight there. So let your knee ride forwards. You don't want to really, so you don't want the foot too far back. You want the foot planted on the floor. But the knee can come, at least the top of the knee can come level with the end of the toes, okay? Extend your back leg back as far as you can. And then from there, so we've got the back knee down on the floor at this stage, yeah? And then, so you see what I'm doing here? I'm letting the knee come forwards rather than keeping it over the ankle. All right, and then I'm going to sweep up, and I'm going to feel this coming from the heel of the back foot as I reach up, and I'm going to arch back, and I'm going to focus on lifting from the kidneys. So my gaze could go towards the horizon, it can go up towards the hands. So this is really like a maximum opening of the iliopsoas. Okay. If it's too strong on the kidneys, then just widen the stance a little bit more and lengthen up rather than arching back so far. Yeah. All right. Exhaling, taking the hands down. We're going to place the hands on the floor and turn this into downward facing dog. We transform the pose into another pose. lifting, extending through the legs and grounding the hands, letting the weight drop down evenly through the hands and the feet. And then looking forward, you're going to step your left foot forward. So your left foot only needs to come forwards about half the length of your leg. It's not a full length stance. But you want to make sure that your back foot goes back as far as it can. So you really lower the pelvis down. Encourage you to keep the toe tucked under of the back foot. Okay, grounding the front foot. Press away from the floor through your front foot. Inhale, lift the arms, lifting the kidneys. So if you want, you can keep the hands apart. If you want, you can join the palms. The possibility of really lifting as Ardha Chandrasana as a half moon pose. So you're creating like the crest of a moon for the back of the body. Lengthening up. Keep the breath moving through the posture. Yep. All right, exhaling, coming down. Take the hands down. We're going to turn this posture into downward facing dog again. Lifting the pelvis. Okay, you shift your weight forwards now. I'd like you to bring your knees down onto the floor and keeping your knees sort of underneath the pelvis, let's say just underneath the hip joints. You're going to place the one forearm down on the floor and the other one on top. Okay, and the idea here is to let your spine sag down. So you're going to, a bit like when you're doing the cow pose, you're going to rest the forehead on the arms because that really helps to keep the space so that you can, as it were, sink the bridge down. Okay, pelvis lifted. Okay, without pushing your spine down, just let gravity do the weight, do the work of drawing the spine down. So you're, as it were, trying to meet the base of the ribs towards the floor. Yeah, so you really want to find and explore that curve in the spine. This time it's passive. So it works into the shoulders as well, so be aware of that. Yeah, feeling that. So if you're positioned right, you're going to feel your trunk drawing down, naturally curving the spine. And you're naturally going to feel some challenge to the shoulders as well, depending upon what's going on in the shoulders. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so we're going to come back up now. Sorry about that. I lost contact for a minute there. I was talking to myself. So from here, we're going to come back to all fours. From all fours to 8-point pose, keeping the elbows in, lowering the chest down. To Bhujangasana. From Bhujangasana to downward facing dog. Okay, to downward facing dog. And then walking towards the front of the mat, okay? We walk all the way forwards. We're going to exhale, fold into the legs. With the next in breath coming all the way back up to standing. Exhaling, folding forwards again, like a bird in flight, one movement. Okay, going to step back your right leg this time. And we're going to come through from high lunge, again, lifting the chest and lifting the trunk above the pelvis. So this time from high lunge, extending up. Okay, so activating the back leg really firmly through to the heel. Keep the pelvis lifting. Interlock the thumbs if you want to help lift. Keep the gaze forwards for now. Okay, exhaling, hands all the way down to the floor. 8-point pose again. From 8-point pose, next inhalation becomes smoothly, slowly into Bhujangasana. Elbows in. Exhaling, back to downward facing dog. Okay, looking forward and stepping your right foot forwards. So naturally, in this position, you want your knee sitting above your ankle. It wouldn't be wise to have your knee shooting forwards in this position, unless you really knew what you were doing. Yeah, there's no need to do that. Be gained. Keep drawing back through the back heel really strongly. Okay, and then we're going to lift the trunk above the pelvis. One breath in, sweeping up. Keep the energy and awareness going through the back leg, extending through the trunk, lifting and arching. So if you've got space in your shoulders, let your shoulders draw back. Keep extending up. Hidden is lifting, heart center opening, gaze into the horizon, keeping the tongue soft, your gaze soft. Exhale, coming forwards, all the way to downward facing dog this time. And then from there, we're going to come down to the floor, keeping the elbows closely, intimately connected to the sides of the body. Okay. I want to bring your hands forwards a little bit more so that your fingers sort of sitting underneath the shoulders more than the chest. Yeah. Okay. Think about grounding your pelvis, extending through the spine. I'm going to keep the legs active as we then lift the trunk, smoothly coming up into Bhujangasana. Yeah. So you're coming up into a more classical Bhujangasana here. Grounding the pelvis, looking to the horizon again. If you've got space in your neck, you can always look up if you want, but sometimes you lose something doing that with this posing. So see what it's like in your neck. And releasing down smoothly and slowly. Then we're going to slide the forearms forwards, keeping the elbows in line with the shoulders. And we're going to come into Sphinx from there. Yeah. Okay. So you might just want to keep the space open between the feet so that you've got about the same distance as your pelvis there. This allows the pubic bone to ground itself. And then you can work a bit more to position the pelvis as best. From here, you want to be lifting the kidneys gently. Okay, looking to the horizon, keeping the neck and the face relaxed, gazing forwards. And just connecting to the sensations through your awareness, through the pelvis, through the spine. Yeah, grounding the forearms, lifting gently. So you're growing the space between the kidneys and the shoulders. Okay, and then widening your elbows, like you to lie down on the front of your body for a moment. Just take a pause for 5 breaths. Okay, from here, on the next inhale, engaging the legs, we're going to lift the trunk, lifting up slowly. We're going to look over. So we're going to come up into Bhujangasana again, but turning the head towards the left side to look towards the left heel, as if you were trying to do that. You won't necessarily do that. The intention is to turn gently through the trunk, through the spine. On the exhale, you're going to come all the way down. So it's quite strong on the arms, yeah? On the next inhale, you lift up into Bhujangasana first of all, and then you rotate to the right side, as if looking back towards the heel. Back to the center. So it's really powerful on the arms. So I said it would be vigorous, didn't I? Exhale. Okay. Moving the arms back slightly. We're going to come up a bit less in terms of height this time. So in grounding the legs and the hands, lifting on the inhale, looking to the left. Exhale back to the center and down. Inhale, lifting and looking towards the right. Exhaling and coming down. Okay. From here, we're going to come back to downward facing dog. So lifting the pelvis once again. So from the downward facing dog position, I'd just like to explore something a bit different with you. We're going to incorporate this into the back bending work. So I'd like you to walk your feet in a bit closer towards the hands so that you have to bend your knees, okay? Keep your arms extending. And then see if you can lift your pelvis as much as you possibly can. So really maximize lifting of the pelvis. If you have to come up onto the balls of the feet, that's fine. Even the tips of the toes, that's fine. But try and get a sense of drawing the spine down as you lift the pelvis up. Yeah, so you're sinking the spine down again. See what I mean? So it's a bit like the cow version of the cat-cow. So you're sinking the spine down, lifting the pelvis up. Be aware of what's going on in the shoulders and the neck. Keep lifting, grounding. Okay, and then release everything down to the floor. We're going to come into Balasana for a moment. We'll do the complete opposite. Just soften the spine, soften the work of the muscles. Just release the weight of the body to the floor. Come back to the breathing. And just reconnect with the breath as normal as possible. Just normalizing the breath. Stay connected to the breath. Okay, extend yourself out, if you will, please, on the floor again. So come out now onto the front of the body in the prone position. Okay, we're going to bring the hands around the back. So we're going to practice a little bit of Shavasana. It's called Shavasana sometimes. You're going to interlocking the fingers behind you. Reach down with the hands. So you're taking the hands and extending the hands down towards the coccyx. Okay. And then engaging the legs. When you feel you've got the legs engaged enough, then you can lift up the body on the in-breath, extending back. Let's just sustain the pose for as many breaths as we can take before we start to feel we've had enough of that. That might be 8 breaths. It might be 10 breaths. And we keep a part of us relaxed, even in the effort of keeping the body lifted, keeping the face, the brain, the gaze soft. And releasing down now. Turning your head to one side for a moment. Just rest your head down. Take a pause. Just absorb the effect of that for a moment, because we're going to go through a few poses that are similar in intensity. Okay, bringing the right forearm. Now, if you can bring your right forearm across you so that you've got your forearm perpendicular to the trunk, but in line with the front of the mat, sort of following the line of the front of the mat. Okay, we're going to bring up the left leg and take hold of the ankle. So this is, sometimes we talk about this as Ardha Dhanurasana. So this tends to be practiced with the leg resting down on the floor. So it's more, the work is more on grounding through the forearm and lifting the trunk rather than lifting the leg, yeah? So think about keeping the knee and the everything into the midline of the body, okay? Try and keep the entry of the pose smooth. So as you come in on an in-breath, lifting, engaging perhaps through Mula Bandha, through Pada Bandha as well. And perhaps gently pressing your foot into the hand. That does help to just open up the heart center a bit more. Keep your gaze soft again. Awareness of the breath. Everything in the center. Yeah, the straight leg is engaging. And release down. Straight away, we're going to change to the other side. So again, entering the pose smoothly on an in-breath, lifting the torso, engage the foot into the back hand. And the straight leg energized all the way through to the tips of the toes, lifting the heart center. Okay, releasing down and down. You're going to place your hands closer to the side of your chest and keep your elbows in. I'd like you to press up onto all fours. Okay, we're going to just softly, smoothly go through the cat-cow pose 5 times. Just really mobilizing the spine easily, gently. So you'll probably be aware, right, of the spine and the muscles around the spine having worked quite hard. You can usually get the after effect. It can be a bit pleasant, unpleasant around the spine. Stimulated all the tissues through the spinal column, right down. Okay. From here, we're going to come back down now and practice the more classical Dhanurasana. So this time with both hands taking the heels, the ankles rather, not the heels. Okay, and again, a smooth entry into the pose, this time lifting as high as we can. So this is probably, if you like, the pinnacle of the practice in terms of being the most dynamic pose that we're going to do, barring one. Lifting the heart center, lifting the legs. And breathing through the pose. So really try not to trap the breath. Okay, release. Come down into Balasana. Do the complete opposite as we go back into Balasana. Or doing what you're doing. Sridhasana is fine. It's the same thing. Resting back. Just take a pause there for a moment. I need to find a towel. So I'm soaking, dripping. Okay, so, well, if you want to, Sridhasana, if you don't want to, just carry on doing what you're doing, it's fine. We come to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we're going to strangely come back onto the feet and do one more thing. On the feet, yeah. Did you bring belts with you, by any chance? Yeah. So this is a version of Natarajasana that I practice from time to time, very, very occasionally, bring it into classes. So probably none of us are going to accomplish the full expression of the pose, but what we can do is we can approximate it by using the belt, yeah? So I'd say we've done a lot of good preparation for what we're going to do now, okay? But bear in mind, sorry about that, it's very, very intense in terms of anteversion of the pelvis, okay? So I'll instruct you on how to make that a bit easier as you go into the pose. You're going to start off by taking the belt under, getting hold of the end of the belts and hooking the belt under the foot so that the belt is touching the top of the right foot, yeah. And then you're going to just introduce a lift in your arms. So keeping the elbows in as much as you can, being aware of the standing leg as being pivotal. So the standing leg is key in this pose because this is where the pose comes from. All right. And then you're going to aim to stand tall and then open the heart center. So lifting from the kidneys again. Let the elbows come in and slowly up. Okay, so it's really important to get a sense of lifting through the upper back here. If you've got more space in the spine, you can easily walk the hands back towards the foot. But keep a sense of lifting and opening in the chest, looking to the horizon. So you just got to really enter into this pose, because this pose is a really powerful expression of a back bend from standing. Keep the breath moving through the posture from the ground all the way through the spine. Lifting the elbows. Okay. Soften and release gracefully. Okay, we go to the other side. Do the same thing. Okay, so smooth entry, coming in on an in-breath, lifting the arms into the initial position, and then working to refine the pose through lifting from the kidneys. Okay. Keeping the leg and the knee in the midline. Engage the standing leg up with awareness, rooting the ground. And moving the leg back and lifting the leg higher is a consequence of lifting from the kidneys. Yeah. So that's the last thing you need to worry about. Sense of balance, sense of poise, filling the body with the breath. Okay, I'm going to release softly. Okay, let's let go of that. And we're going to double forwards, softening as we go forwards. We're going to come down just slowly into a forward bend. There's no point going from one extreme to another. Just come in slowly. Okay, just working your way in. And so you come all the way down with the head towards the floor. Just softening the spine and lengthening as you go. And then at some point, release the crown of the head towards the floor. And if you want, you can work then with lengthening the backs of the legs or not. It's up to you. Just be more passive in the pose, or it can be more active as you like. Different possibilities. Explore what you feel is best to do after that. Yep. Okay, coming down to the floor. We're going to come down to ground level again now, into semi-supine. So it's quite obvious, isn't it? This kind of practice and these kinds of poses they both generate and require energy. So it's a question of not exhausting yourself in trying to generate energy. You sort of want to generate energy from poses. But if it's taxing you to do that, then obviously you just need to practice a bit more lightly. Yeah. So we're going to finish off with a couple of things from the semi-supine position. Nothing complicated. So, first of all, just let the spine settle on the floor, lengthen out. You can, if you want, lift up your pelvis and lower your pelvis down a couple of times. And then just lengthen out. It's a nice sensation just to lift the pelvis and lower the pelvis down a couple of times. So it softens the whole area. Okay. And then lifting up, tuck your shoulder blades under and lengthen your arms down by the side of your body with the palms on the floor. Okay. And then we're going to lift up with the feet about the same distance as the pelvis. So on the in-breath, we're going to push down through the feet and explore lifting the pelvis smoothly. Yeah. And just coming up about just over halfway. So don't come into the maximum position here. Just readjust your shoulder blades so that you've got space to lift and slide your shoulder blades down so that you maintain a space under the upper back and under the neck, gazing upwards. Yeah. And then slowly look at the possibility of lifting the pelvis higher and landing the weight on the shoulders as you tuck the shoulders under. Okay, so the weight goes towards the shoulders more. And at the same time, your knees move down towards your feet a little bit more. Yeah. So you're lengthening and opening the chest. Okay, rolling all the way down. One smooth movement all the way down, no hesitation. Just let go of the pose for a moment. Okay, one more time. On the next in-breath, pressing down through the feet, lifting the pelvis up about halfway. Okay, just clarifying again those points. So tucking the tailbone slightly under here. Bring the shoulders under. So you create that space again under the upper back, under the neck. And then just keep that movement of the pelvis raising up if you want to. Knees drawing towards the feet. Weight landing on the shoulders. If you want now, you can support the underside of your pelvis with the hands, okay? So once you come up high enough into the bridge, you can become a more passive bridge. And then coming down smoothly, offering the knees towards the hands. For a few times practicing Apanasana. Okay, and then from here, we're going to take a simple reclining twist of our choice. So whatever we want to do by way of a simple reclining twist. I'm into that pose. And now I'm going to stop doing it. So that work in many ways is quite demanding at a cellular level, structural level of the back and the muscles. So it's a good idea now, the last part of the practice, just to consciously, deliberately try and soften that area. So twist is a really good way of releasing the lumbar in case we've got into any sort of unnecessary tension in that area. Any extraneous build-up, just come into the side twist and rest in the twist, breathing into that area. Gradually letting go more and more so that it really does become a passive resting for the last couple of minutes of the practice. Again, just broadening out your attention to the field of your physical experience. So think of your body as a field of energetic experience rather than just a load of specific sensations. Just a broad net of experiences going on, some of which you're aware of and some of which you're not. And then broadening out your net of awareness to your internal experience again. So you're going to change sides in the twist if you haven't already. Again, just letting go once you've arrived. Just softening, keeping the net of awareness open to your bodily sensations, to your internal experience. Just sort of taking the temperature of how your system has responded to the practice. Is the mind a little bit quieter, a bit less caught up in thoughts? I'm going to ask you to just spread out now into Shavasana. I'm going to take 5 minutes of that. And if there's time, which there just about will be, we'll do a little bit of seated practice as well, meditation. And my friends, what you would like now to come into a meditation posture, or stay where you are if you want. It's up to you. If you want to come and formally meditate, that's good. If you just want to do a body scan, that's also fine. I can lead you through that if you want. Yeah, it looks like we're going for the body scan. Okay. We're just continuing the practice we've started. We don't have to make a great shift from Shavasana to body scan. So we're just going to scan through the body. First of all, becoming aware of the sensations in the area of the head, on the surface of the body, so the skin surface of the body. And just traveling down towards the body, through the body towards the feet. Just becoming aware of the area of the skin on the surface. And then from the feet, we sink into the body to the level of the flesh, becoming aware of the structures, muscles, tendons, organs. And we move through the body, through the legs, through the body, back towards the crown of the head. You don't have to labor this too much. And then from the crown of the head, we sink down to the level of the bone, the cranium, the hard center of the body. And we drift down through the body, becoming aware of the bones, the bony level, the structural level of the body, all the way down towards the feet. Just the awareness of the mind. And then from the feet coming up towards the head again, just aware of the whole body. A great big earth supporting your body weight. The brain and the eyes and the ears resting towards the floor. Just sinking down. Not giving them any tasks to do, any jobs to do. Just resting inwardly. And in the heart center, resting the heart towards the ground, not giving the heart any extra work to do. Let the heart have a rest. And the same with the lungs, and the same with the abdominal organs. Letting go of any extraneous tension. Letting go of the bandhas, locks. Resting the urogenital muscles. Big heavy bones of the pelvis. Everything moving down towards the ground, not giving ourselves any extra jobs or work to do. So now if you like, just feel free to carry on in that position as long as you want. Just stay there, enjoy the space. And I will disconnect the session. You're also free to finish as well if you need to. So either way. But no need to come out. We can just leave it there and we'll connect again next week.